So today I'm interviewing Robin Craig, independent consultant, but she's so much more than that. Robin has a graduate degree in psychology and has been a student of human behavior her entire life. So really what motivates people, the interplay of thought and feelings and quality of life. She began her marketing career, though, in real estate, working in Orange County's heyday of residential development with some luxury home builders. Monarch Communities back in '92, I think is right. And really focusing on sales and marketing and project management when you were in that position. She then consulted for various home builders, and I won't name all of them, but some were Centex Homes is one that I know of, and Brookfield Homes, who is also very widely respected. And then you were also VP of Sales and Marketing at Corman Leigh. But at one point, you made a game-changing decision.
That's right.
To go to senior living. And that's where you and I actually worked together for the first time, was at Kisco Senior Living, based down in Carlsbad. And they're still kicking today.
Yeah, doing well.
And but then that kind of led to so many more things. Everything from that point forward has felt to me that you're doing a lot more senior living and active adult. You worked for MarketVue, MBK Senior Living, Avenida Partners, and then we worked again together at Greystar. You've really been such a force and influential in senior housing and active adult in particular. So I was curious, though, starting in single family luxury home building, can you give me a little bit of what's the difference?
The thing that's the same is that you're always trying to understand who's the customer and what do they want, and how are you going to position your product to be successful. And over the course of just housing all the way to the most intense senior housing, so the difference is really, where on the spectrum, what's more important, the house or, the whole lifestyle. And I think over time it's changed. We used to focus a lot more on the product and the individual spaces and the materials and all of that. And over time, I think even now for housing, lifestyle is a piece of the puzzle. But as you get into senior housing, the product is less important and the lifestyle is more important. And then when you get into, assisted living and over, it's really the quality of care, and the caregivers and the kind of connection that they make with the residents. So that's the difference.
So what do you think's been the biggest challenges in consumer adoption for active adult? Because I know, like we said, you have worked in some more traditional senior living. Kisco was independent living, assisted living, and some memory care. But the last few places that you worked, you were really focusing more on active adult. So what do you think, how's that adoption changed over the last 5-10 years?
The art of living well, that was such a big part of the Kisco brand when we started to delivering it, the 2008 or whenever it was, was all about prevention and moving into a community so that you would thrive. And it was a sort of a new approach to senior living, which was really exciting. And over time, with changes in the economy and just the way the world, I think, population has been going, the senior living communities became more frail, and there was less opportunity to do the true independent living that I found the most exciting part of senior living. It has become a class of its own, and I think there's more recognition and more acceptance of rental living now than there used to be for this demographic,
right?
Which makes it a little bit easier for us. I remember when we were first marketing our project in Franklin, our Avenida project in Franklin, Tennessee, and it was a pretty wealthy area, and there were people living in large homes, and they really liked the concept. It was a beautiful building, and they were just struggling with, the idea of rental living and also the size of the apartment homes. Now, we've had so much experience building in different markets at different types of, economic situations, mid-market, lower end affordable type 55 plus, luxury 55 plus. And we kind of know now that we need there's something for everyone, but I think the difference is we have more data now, and when we go into a new market, we kind of can use that to target better. And I think that's really where we're all going with it is we started out, it was luxury, it was urban, it had to be walkable, and we found out during COVID that a lot of people wanted suburban.
Right.
And they didn't want urban anymore.
Right.
And we've been very successful in suburban markets with a middle market product.
Yeah. I think that just as P11 has worked with you on, I think, almost all these brands.
Overture, Album.
Yeah, Overture and Album, which were both of Greystars, Avenida, MBK as well, and Kisco.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we pretty much have worked with you on all of those. But I think that us also working with you and kind of seeing that evolution and how things have changed, and like one of the brands that Greystar created was the Album brand, which was when we first started realizing, it doesn't need to be totally luxury, that this should be a value for everyone. And those folks are enjoying their lives just as much as, the luxury.
If not more.
Yeah, if not more.
And we've also seen, we started out assuming we were going to, we're going to reach out to people that were at home that needed to downsize. And we've learned a lot about that I even learned that at the beginning of Avenida. Like most of the people that moved in to our community this was their second downsize. They had already gone to a condo, or they had gone to like a 55 plus for rent property.
Right.
And moving into our community was sort of their second downsize. Now, actually, we're getting younger people into active adult than we did 8-10 years ago.
Yeah, which is actually what we were trying to do at the time. We were like, we want those 55-year-olds, and everybody's like, no, they're not coming.
But really,
now there's so many.
I think because the changes in the demographic, the generation that's 65, 70 now is kind of more able to accept the rental lifestyle. They don't need to do a step down, necessarily. The adult children of the people that are maybe full-time renters their whole life, and the people that want to retire early, they want to let go of the house, they want to enjoy themselves, and they want something nice, but they don't want to spend all their money on their housing either.
Yeah.
So that's why I think our multi-market product our mid-market product has really taken off.
Yeah.
We still have the challenge of people that are coming from a home that are attracted to what we have, but have some objections, and the process of leasing for those people just takes a little bit longer and takes more discovery, more information, more relationship building.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference in how we sell versus how we sell in a multifamily conventional situation. We're definitely aware that we're dealing with people that are at a change point in their life, whether they're existing renters coming from being used to being in a multifamily situation, and now they're not sure that's the right place for them,
right?
But they're struggling with being with seniors who maybe seem too old for them, or people that are moving from a home that have stuff to sell, or it's not big enough for me, or I need the garage and you don't have one. I mean, there's all these little objections that come up, and helping people figure out what are the priorities, what are my priorities right now, versus I'm at the age where I could move into one of these communities,
so
and
I
would have the same objection, same quandary as to what things are really important to me, and do I have to make these decisions right now? So loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane.
But, that's the main crux of active adult. The main value proposition is, providing an opportunity to belong to something, and that sense of belonging, that socialization, even for couples. I think active adult, what it's doing is providing a opportunity for people to naturally, come together and be supportive and provide mutual respect and care.
Right.
Because just because you get older doesn't mean you still don't want to help others.
Right.
Sometimes you want to do more of that. Our future is to involve the residents more and more in what we're designing, how we're delivering.
So build to rent has become much more prominent. I wouldn't say it's a huge portion of it, but I'm seeing it more and more. So tell me a little bit about what your experience is with that and where you think that's going to go.
We are seeing BTR specific for 55 plus competing with 55 plus rental apartments. We're also seeing the conventional BTR competing with us because it's another option for someone coming out of a home if they're, if we don't sell the lifestyle right well, or they don't understand the value proposition of the lifestyle, they're going to think that's the good deal for them.
Right.
What the 55 plus BTR has obviously is it's all the like-minded people, and one of the pioneers of this I'm working with in the East Coast, we've been working with them, and each time they build a recreation center, making it a little bit more attractive, and they've been developing their programming, and they're using resident engagement as well as their community manager to run it, but they've got a playbook for it, and they're really competing with the apartments. The people that are moving into the apartment home that want that sense of, they say sense of safety, sense of security, like they can close their door and have their privacy, but they know there are people around. And we've experienced that, with people coming out of 55 plus for sale housing, like a Del Webb type of community. They may be living there for 10 years, and their spouse passes away, and they don't want to be alone in the house and don't want to have to drive over to the clubhouse or whatever it is. It's sort of like this. It's sort of like their segmentation is getting, it's like compressing, and there's like, the 55 plus owned, and then the BTR, and then the apartments, and then IL. Like it's just kind of, and where people go, they're not going to go each step,
right?
But they're going to pick the one on the ladder
right
that makes sense to them.
Right.
And so our job is to really understand who wants to step on which rung of the ladder. And at the end of the day, it's the same, your reputation, how you treat your customer, how you deliver what you say you're going to do to your customer, is the message and the experience the same? All those things really matter.
What about the leasing aspect of active adult versus just conventional multifamily? What's the difference there?
Well, one thing I think we learned early on that hasn't changed is it takes longer, like you said, and you have to get into the market earlier. So, you're pre-leasing, or once you start building and something starts going up, is when you really have to get into the market and be able to, take the mystery away about what's happening, and be a human being, and just kind of get to know the people that live there, and get to know the businesses that are there, and who has influence over the seniors, and where are the adult children, and really understanding and sharing your message with them, and understanding what they're looking for, and building those relationships. It's just more energy, more people, more energy, and because these people are in a life change situation, there's a lot of moving parts. Again, there's an interplay, because we're using many more digital tools, and it's working, and it surprised us a lot during COVID that was possible, and now we're like out there doing everything, trying things conventional does, and figuring out what works for us and what doesn't.
Where do you see the future of active adult over the next 5-10 years?
I think just continuing down our path and getting more targeted and more focused. That the successful communities are going to keep their eye on who is moving in and what's going on in their market, and make sure that what they're offering, the value proposition, continues to maintain a competitive advantage. I think the resident-driven lifestyle, like you were saying, it continues to be something to get people involved, and even a bigger sense of belonging is knowing I'm teaching the yoga class 2 times a week, and then you get to know everybody, but it gives you purpose, or maybe I want to be social chair or whatever it is, continuing to figure out how we can nurture resident engagement and involvement in the lifestyle program. Because if we're doing it for them, then we're like too much already going towards senior living.
Right.
And I think the difference for active adult is really the resident engagement, but in a way that they feel like empowered, and there's something they want to do, not like.
So, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to make sure people know about active adult, or your experience, or what you're learning? Continuing to learn. Like,
well,
that's the thing, we never stop learning.
I do think that I've always been a student of, research and data, and, working from a strategic place. And I'd say that we still need to do that. We have to learn how to continually update that. It's not, I think that's the biggest thing I've learned. It's like, you can't okay, we're going to plan this. This is what we think it's going to be. Let's build it. And, 5 years later, not take a look at if there's issues. Well, what's going on here? So I think, just staying on top of, your market, and continually to kind of see what's working in this space. And sometimes it's regional, I think that, not sitting on your laurels and just say, okay, fill the building.
Right.
It takes some focus and analysis and insight. And I think engaging their community teams more and more, and teaching them how to provide that insight is really important to our success in managing these communities, because I think a lot of people think they can just build it and they can make money, and
build it and
the management part isn't that difficult, but it is important. And we've learned over the years, a lot of people try and manage from scratch, and it doesn't really have the same effect as someone that's done their homework and learned how to do it well and efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Robin, for your time.
Oh, it was great.
I know. And so I think that I always learn something from you every time we get together. I know I do. I think that, and we've already had like a couple of conversations before we even did this interview, but I feel like every time we talk, I learned something new, and I think that's part of what I'm enjoying the most.
That's what I enjoy about being a consultant now. It's like, having the opportunity to work with a lot of different organizations in the active adult space, and seeing how things are changing, and who the customer is now, and just continuing to try and understand where the product is going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.